Now there's a student who knows how to fly.
I do miss the bustle of business. Poor customers, afraid to venture out.
Hello, Madame Beaumont. Good news. I was able to clear out Ranrock's camps.
You cleared them out? How?
It was harrowing, and they dug in their heels, but I managed.
When my brother returns, this news will mean the world to him. You saved our hamlet, my young friend. This will not be forgotten. I fear for other hamlets, truly. Ranrock and his lot are unlike any goblins I've ever seen.
What do you have for sale?
Thank you. Sincerely. Marvellous. I could always use more of these. Thank you for passing.
stingy. I could use some gold. There is a nut, a pickle, a galleon. New instruments are expensive, you know. Tips in the hat, if you please. I could use some gold. There is a nut, a pickle, a galleon. New instruments are expensive, you know. Come now, don't be stingy. I could use some gold. Tips in the hat, if you please. New instruments are expensive, you know. There is a nut, a pickle, a galleon. Come now, don't be stingy. Tips in the hat, if you please. New instruments are expensive, you know. I could use some gold.
I know what that means. Merlin trial. Revelio. I've completed my assignments, Professor.
Pleased to hear it. Professor Weasley will be too. I'll be sure to let her know how well you're coming along.
Thank you, Professor.
Professor Hecat tells me she taught you Levioso, so you should be ready for a more advanced levitation charm. Wingardium Leviosa requires a bit of concentration and a nice, graceful wand movement. Let's see you try your hand at it. When executed correctly, you should be able to pick up boulders as though they were sprigs of sneezewort. Feel free to practice Wingardium Leviosa.
Professor Garlick, a moment of your time?
The plants are resting, so now's as good a time as any.
I was wondering, what made you want to teach herbology?
How lovely of you to ask. I've always had an affinity for greenery, so this situation is a bit of a dream come true. After graduation, I was thrilled to be asked to step in for my old herbology professor. He'd had a slight accident, you see.
Oh dear. A shame for him, but it worked out well for you.
Well, he never cared, really cared for the plants, and they could sense it. Oh, you'd be surprised how perceptive a plant can be. At any rate, the trouble began one day when he cut into a wigan tree. Unfortunately for him, its leaves were hiding a bowtruckle. You may recall the marvellous creatures that resemble a twig. The little beast gouged the professor's eyes quite fiercely, but terrifying, I'd imagine. Likely for the professor, too.
And that's when you took over as the herbology professor?
Well, not quite. After 3 weeks at St. Mungo's, my predecessor regained a tiny bit of his eyesight. He insisted on returning to the greenhouse. Within a week, he claims by accident, kicked a Chinese chomping cabbage, so it was back to St. Mungo's for him.
A fair bit of bad luck there, I'd say.
Well, I felt awful for him, but I dare say I felt a bit more sympathy for the cabbage. Upon his discharge from the hospital, his indifference to plants had turned to utter disdain. He lost what little patience he had left with a particularly temperamental venomous tentacula and, well, his resulting leave of absence continues to this day.
I'm glad everything worked out as it did and that you're the herbology professor now.
Very kind of you to say. I do love these gardens and helping my students grow. Lovely speaking with you. Have a wonderful day. Oh, and remember, be kind to your wigan trees.
Revelio.
visits. I was looking forward to reading it.
I miss having my own bedroom. One of the girls in our room recites potion recipes in her sleep, another sings, and another mumbles incantations.
I can't even cast Lumos for 2 seconds to do a bit of late night reading without my dorm mates getting riled up.
I haven't slept well for ages. I miss my pillow from home.
What?
Nothing wrong with that.
We're going to see who can stay up the latest. Sleeping drafts should ensure my victory.
Weasley said she always found the dormitory a good place to read. Better than the library.
I'd never risk leaving things in the dormitory without a muggle of any charm. What? It's highly logical.
I do wish I had a bigger trunk, though.
My siblings and I have all been sorted into different houses. Came as no surprise to my father.
My family has been sorted into Ravenclaw for generations. Bit of a bookish lot.
I adore decorating for the holidays. Can never have too many fairy lights, in my opinion. Not sure the fairies would agree, mind.
Hogwarts has brought me and my siblings closer together. We've had to rely on each other without having our parents about.
My family has a lot of Muggle traditions, from my mother's side. I don't mind most of them, but cooking without magic can get exhausting.
My family and I travel somewhere every summer. I'm dying to visit Romania. Would love to see a dragon in the flesh.
My older sisters taught me everything I needed to know about Hogwarts before I stepped foot in the castle, including how to sneak food from in the kitchens.
All of my siblings have gone on to work for the Ministry, but I'm not sure I want to do that. Unless it's an aura. I'd like to be an aura.
My older brothers were all sorted into Ravenclaw. They're terribly accomplished now. I'll never be able to live up to their achievement. Good thing Professor Weasley takes her role seriously, since Black clearly has no interest in his.
It's about time Hogwarts put someone like Black in charge. Perhaps now we can stop all these disgusting muggles from ruining the school.
I doubt there's ever been a headmaster as hated as Black. Dubious honor indeed.
Black noticed the scuff on his shoe the other day, and would not take another step until a house elf polished it away for him. Horrid man.
My parents were thrilled to hear that Black was being put in charge. Our families have been friends for centuries.
Got called on to read out loud a history of magic the other day. Stumbled over all the words. I think I even bored bins. That's saying something.
When someone says something nice,
All I can say is, look inside my notebooks.
accidentally levitated Professor Rowan's sandwich once. He was fine about it. Actually complimented me on my wandwork.
We had a ghoul in our attic. Roamed all the time. Quite the nuisance. Still, we never had spiders.
Thought the boy was trying to be nice to me the other day. Offered to carry my books, he did. Oh, charming, I thought.
Tried to summon the pepper at dinner last week, and dropped pudding into our prefect's lab. Not sure who felt it more, me or her. Apparently Maringreen was having a bit of a poacher problem. I wonder if that's still the case.
Hogsmeade is the only all-wizarding village I've ever heard of.
I should like to retire to a small hamlet when I'm older. One just like Brockborough.
Isn't Sebastian Sallow's family from Felcroft? I would have expected him to be from somewhere more posh.
I adore the hamlets near the coast. They're a bit damp, but ever so picturesque.
I'd spend the entire day in Hogsmeade if I could.
I can appreciate Hogsmeade all year round, but there's nothing like it after a fresh snowfall.
If it's seeds I'm after, I'll always go to the Magic Mead. I've upset Madam Green one too many times now. She won't soon be welcoming me back to Dogweed and Deathcap.
Frankly, I'd rather limit my excursions to Hogsmeade these days. Too much distraction.
My aunt says I should get to Hogsmeade as often as I can. Says it's good to get out of the castle sometimes. Wouldn't it be romantic?
I was destined to be a glorious beater if Quidditch hadn't been cancelled this year. I was.
Albie Weeks has been experimenting with new broom models for a while now.
There are some impressive new brooms at Spintwitches.
I'd make a fine keeper, with a bit more practice.
The best way to learn how to fly a broomstick is by trial and error. In my case, it was a lot of error.
It's time to trade in my Oakshaft 79 for a newer model.
Spintwitches is my favourite. At least I get to see all the brooms, even if I can't afford one myself.
How would you like to learn the knockback jinx Flipendo? Once you've completed the necessary tasks, come and find me in the greenhouse.
Wish our common room was bigger. I could never find enough space to spread out my star charms.
I tried to hide a puffskein once, in the corner of the common room.
They really shouldn't allow food and drinks in the common room. Stepped in a puddle of butterbeer the other day. Better than a failed potion, I suppose.
My older sister came here. Said she carved her initials into the fireplace. But I think she made it up.
Why study in the common room when you could be outside in the fresh air? I'd rather be in the courtyard than a musty old library any day.
Let's be sure we make some time to study later then. The common room's a bit rowdy of late, so I've taken to using the library.
Rumour is, Professor Hecat used to work for the Ministry. Or wonder what she did.
Wouldn't be surprised if Professor Binns bored himself to death at one of his history lectures.
Defense against the dark arts can be intimidating, but Professor Hecat actually makes...
Madame Cook-Alice gives me a bit of an easy run of things, isn't she? What with Quidditch being cancelled.
I wish they'd let Ronan teach the entire curriculum. Charms is the only class I can stay awake for.
It's clear Ronan would have preferred a little bit.
Sometimes I'm not fully sure if Ronan's teaching us a spell or having a practice himself. Don't you find? It's genuinely questionable as to whether the man's at Hogwarts to steer the next generation or to become the next Uric the Oddball.
I'm going to have my own telescope one day. I've already decided that Jupiter's my favorite planet. Although
In my opinion, divination is a load of rubbish. Professor Anai seems so logical. I don't understand how she believes the things she teaches. You know, it does help to look at the thing while you're staring.
I don't find potions bearable at all. And if it's double potions, I question whether I wouldn't just rather be a muggle.
In my blood, my mother says. From her side, at least.
I had an awful time in potions the other day. Someone had scribbled all over the pages of my book of potions. The margins were as black as soot. And...
Why are we only learning all the boring potions? When are we learning things? Knowing Sharp will probably teach it after we've done our exams.
I've been tempted to say I lost my wand just to get rid of Weasley's assignments. How's that for transfiguration?
there's simply too much information if you ask me. Surely it's not all necessary. Next thing you know, they'll be teaching us about muggles.
I can't seem to master the Wiggenweld potion. Perhaps my stirring technique's a bit off.
I wish Hogwarts would teach us how to become animagi. They do at Wagadoo. Might be a Niffler. Stock up on galleons.
I promise you, more teachers look at you if you're holding a stack of books. I swear it's true.
If you try to study in the library, at least you can be assured of peace and quiet. Madam Scribner sees to that.
I say, teach me everything going. In fact, if Hecat doesn't hurry up and teach me Curious Tales, I swear I shall get on that train and go home.
I never thought I'd actually enjoy herbology, but Professor Garlick makes it so interesting. She's forgotten more than I'll ever know about mandrakes.
If we just simply taught antidotes to common poisons, I truly think that would be enough to get us through life.
My family has been sorted into Ravenclaw for generations. Bit of a bookish lot, one might say.
My siblings and I have all been sorted into different houses. came as no surprise to my father.
I adore decorating for the holidays. Can never have too many fairy lights, in my opinion. Not sure the fairies would agree, mind.
Hogwarts has brought me and my siblings closer together. We've had to rely on each other without having our parents about.
My family and I travel somewhere every summer. I'm dying to visit Romania. Would love to see a dragon in the flesh.
My family has a lot of Muggle traditions, from my mother's side. I don't mind most of them, but cooking without magic can get exhausting.
My older brothers were also into Ravenclaw. They're terribly accomplished now. I'll never be able to live up to their achievements.
I wonder if it's even quieter in the restricted section of the library. And what would happen if you made a noise?
I bet all the answers to everything are in the restricted section. I think it should be a special treat in Year 5 that you get to go into it.
I wouldn't say Professor Howard has a particular affinity for these, but she's certainly knowledgeable. I imagine that's why she teaches the class.
Do you think they'd actually bring in a Dementor for defense against the dark arts? What better way to learn, I say?
There's simply too much information if you ask me. Surely it's not all necessary. Next thing you know, they'll be teaching us about muggles.
I've been tempted to say I lost my wand just to get out of Weasley's assignments. How's that for transfiguration?
Still have a bump on my head from herbology last week. The cotton fell out of my ear during a mandrake lesson. I came to with my head in an upturned plant pot.
Wouldn't be surprised if Professor Binns bored himself to death at one of his history lectures.
Rumour is, Professor Hecat used to work for the Ministry. Or wonder what she did.
I wonder if you learn different things about astronomy at a Wagadu. Although I can't see anyone being as passionate about it as Sharp.
I'd die of embarrassment if my mother taught at Hogwarts. Don't know how Natty manages.
Madame Cookhound's getting a bit of an easy run of things, isn't she? What with Quidditch being cancelled.
I wish they'd let Ronan teach the entire curriculum. Charms is the only class I can stay awake for.
It's clear Rhoda would have preferred a light in the theatre. How much longer do you think Black will be headmaster? I have family in America. Wonder if I could transfer to Ilvermorny and come back when he's gone.
If only Black had the power to choose the other professors too, then we could get rid of muggle-borns like garlic.
I thought about transferring to both Battens just to get away from Professor Black.
Good thing Professor Weasley takes her role seriously, since Black clearly has no interest in his.
It's about time Hogwarts put someone like Black in charge. Perhaps now we can stop all these disgusting muggles from ruining the school.
Whoever decided to make Professor Black headmaster of Hogwarts must have been the victim of a flock of whoopers. Out of their mind.
I don't find potions bearable at all. And if it's double potions, I question whether I wouldn't just rather be a muggle.
You know it does help to look at the thing while you're stirring.
My aunt has some potions recipes she swears are from Zygmunt Budge himself. What? She wouldn't make it up. She says they're ones he didn't put in the Book of Potions. Likely powerful spells for the complexion. What? Why are you looking at my chin like that? Stop it!
Why are we only learning all the boring potions? When are we learning Felix Felicis? Knowing Sharp, he'll probably teach it after we've done our exams.
I know. I had an awful time in potions the other day. Someone had scribbled all over the pages of my book of potions. The margins were as black as soot. And it was a copy from library. Scribblers can't have me for that. I hated learning banishment.
Professor Weasley is easily my favourite. Her wand work is exquisite.
I still can't manage to transfigure a match into a needle without catching it on fire.
A Beginner's Guide to Transfiguration was Miley's favourite textbook. I cannot seem to wrap my head around the subject.
My brother caused a lot of trouble in Professor Weasley's class when he was at school. He'd idly wave his wand whilst daydreaming and transfigure someone's book into a beetle.
I spent hours trying to conjure a meat pie when I was a first year, only to then find out about Gamp's Law. Such a disappointment.
I adore spending sunny afternoons in the viaduct courtyard. Wonderful place to practice Accio on other students' books.
I can't remember the last time Sebastian lost a duel.
Whoa.
prefer the safety of a thestral-drawn carriage. Nothing wrong with that.
Wonder what Kagawa thinks of Quidditch being cancelled. Bet she's fuming.
Broomsticks are going out of style, I think. So many other ways to travel now.
That Ray's girl thinks she can fly better than anyone. All talk if you ask me.
I wonder why Madame Kagawa didn't become a professional Quidditch player. What if she's not actually that good?
I just know we were finally going to win the Quidditch Cup this year.
I want to play Quidditch professionally when I'm older. I'd make a marvelous chaser.
I can appreciate Hogsmeade all year round, but there's nothing like it after a fresh snowfall.
I prefer the 3 broomsticks to the Hog's Head. Sirona's a much better conversationalist than Jasper Trout.
Frankly, I'd rather limit my excursions to Hogsmeade these days. Too much distraction.
I'm saving up for a new broom. Reckon I'll be going for the U-Weaver, or possibly the Silver Arrow. Albie Weeks says he'll give me a good price on one too. My house broom will do me fine for a while, I'm sure. My parents keep promising me something to make up for the fact that they spoil my sister rotten. I think we'll just tell them to kit me out with a wind whisper and spintwitches and we'll call it even.
I reckon Sebastian did not expect such a sound defeat in defense against the dark arts.
If you lean forward on your broom just right, you can get an incredible burst of speed.
Wish I could afford my own broom from Spintwitches.
Oh, I wish I could spend all day in flying. Should have been born a hippogriff.
I was destined to be a glorious beater if Quidditch hadn't been cancelled this year. I was. My parents were thrilled to hear that Black was being put in charge. Our families have been friends for centuries.
I doubt there's ever been a headmaster as hated as Black. Dubious honor indeed.
If only Black had the power to choose the other professors too, then we could get rid of muggle-borns like Garlic.
I thought about transferring to Platin's just to get away from Professor Black and his iron fist. But then I remembered that I don't speak French.
It's about time Hogwarts put someone like Black in charge. Perhaps now we can stop all these disgusting mudbloods from ruining the school.
Whoever decided to make Professor Black headmaster of Hogwarts must have been the victim of a flock of whoopers. Out of their mind.
I don't find potions bearable at all. And if it's double potions, I question whether I wouldn't just rather be a muggle.
I need to stop by the outlet. Far too long since I've sent a letter home.
Wish someone would send me a love letter. Doubt that will ever happen.
Have you ever wondered how owls know where to deliver their letters? Magic, I suppose.
I've heard that Isaac Cooper receives several hours a week from secret admirers. I suppose he is rather dashing.
Professor Black glanced at me the other day in the Great Hall. I spit out for breakfast. Not sure it sent the right message.
My parents were thrilled to hear that Black was being put in charge. Our families have been friends for centuries.
It's good Black's children are too young to attend Hogwarts. I'd hate it if my father was headmaster.
If only Black had the power to choose the other professors too, then we could get rid of muggled ones like Garlic.
Professor Weasley must be exhausted doing her job as well as the headmaster's. We're lucky to have her.
It's about time Hogwarts put someone like Black in charge. Perhaps now we can stop all these disgusting mudbloods from ruining the school.
Someone's parents had homemade cauldron cakes, and they shared them in the common room. I think they mistook salt for sugar, mind you. Half-eaten cakes everywhere for days there were.
I try to imagine the great witches and wizards of the past who once sat in the same chairs as we now get to sit in the common room. Most inspiring.
That poor first year trying to get into the Gryffindor common room. I swear the Platin was having them on. Poor thing had to wait till next day.
Every time I'm there, everyone falls asleep. I don't think that's what a common room is for. Hi there.
I'd like to see your parents' faces when they see your marks at the end of term. Perhaps you should work on your polyjuice potion so you can pay them a visit as sharp and lie yourself silly about how marvelous you are and how you exceeded expectations.
Do you happen to have any valerian sprigs? I really wanted to have a go at the Get potion. Only, I can't remember where I put mine.
Oh, do shut up.
Why are we only learning all the boring things? When are we learning Felix Felicis? Knowing Sharp, we'll probably teach it after we've done our exams.
I'd swear we'd be more uplifted in potions if it were taught by Dementors.
Oh, everybody knows you're in remedial potions. How many letters do you think come in and out of Hogwarts every day?
Hogwarts must have hundreds of owls in the owlry. Wonder there's any mice there.
My little brother sends me letters chock full of questions about Hogwarts. Merlin help us when he starts here next year.
I never know what to say. My brother just started at Hogwarts as a Gryffindor. Thought for certain he'd be Slytherin, cunning as he is.
Nothing better than a few pints of butterbeer and a pile of mince pies with my sisters on Christmas Eve.
My older sisters taught me everything I needed to know about Hogwarts before I stepped foot in the castle, including how to sneak food from in the kitchens.
My mother is so excited for me to come home for the holidays. She's written to me nearly every day. The family hour's exhausting.
My brothers and I prefer pumpkin juice with our mince pies. My aunt introduced us to those years ago.
My siblings and I have all been...
I heard you did quite well in Brattleby's dueling club.
Came as no surprise to my father.
Hogsmeade's no London, mind you. But it'll do in a pinch.
My friends and I lose track of the time whenever we're at Three Broomsticks. Nearly missed exams one year, we were so engrossed in our butterbeers.
I prefer the Three Broomsticks to the Hog's Head. Serona's a much better conversationalist than Jasper Trap.
All of the shopkeepers like me. I know they do. They always put a bit of something extra in the bag for me. I think they're drawn to my charm. Also, my parents spend a lot in Hogsmeade, but I don't think that's it.
I'm saving up for a new broom. I reckon I'll be going for the U-Weaver, or possibly the Silver Arrow. Albie Weeks says he'll give me a good price on one too.
You can get all sorts of clothing with Gladwells. Not just common wear either. I've seen rare garments there. Very powerful, I'd imagine. I can't say I feel the need for that sort of thing, mind. I'd be quite content with a new pair of socks.
If I had to pick one shop, it would be Gladrags. Mr. Hill is always very helpful, don't you find?
I'd spend the entire day in Hogsmeade if I could.
Fear is weakness. I never feel fear.
Showing off is a muggle trait. You don't see that sort of behavior in the wizard world.
My uncle knows Kagara, so I can't imagine I would get good marks. And my aunt knows Black's wife, so all in all I'd say I'm well set.
You're brave though, aren't you? I've seen you in Herbology. You're a conqueror with those mandrakes.
Nobody can do a hex like...
Why would I want to hear what you're good at?
Bravery runs in my family. I've never even cried. Even when my brother put a Grindylow on my bed. Possibly a bit of crying, but no tears.
I'd like to see your parents' faces when they see your marks at the end of term. Perhaps you should work on your polyjuice potion so you can pay them a visit as sharp and lie yourself silly about how marvelous you are and how you exceeded it.
probably worth studying for potions, unless you're anticipating being poisoned sometime in the near future. Oh, do shut up. As far as I can see, the only potion worth learning is Sleeping Draught. Best time for the history of magic.
Oh, everybody knows you're in remedial potions.